Dumplings are a perfect way to start any Asian banquet. So today, Ching, I'm going to do some prawns and cod in a gyoza. The gyoza being a traditional Japanese dumpling. And then I'm going to do a beef and a kimchi. Kimchi is a Korean fermented cabbage. Probably very familiar with it.
I love kimchi, yeah. Well, I'm going to do my Chinese classic version. I'm going to do my prawn and Chinese chive. And I'm also going to do pork, which I'm going to fuse with some dried Chinese mushrooms and also some Chinese water chestnuts as well. OK, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start by preparing the dumpling skin.
Yep.
Ching is going all out to impress the judges by making her dumpling wrappers from scratch.
So what I've got here is some wheat starch.
Wheat starch is produced by removing the gluten and other proteins from wheat flour. It is available from Asian supermarkets.
And then I'm going to add tapioca starch. Now, tapioca is from the cassava root. It adds a lovely translucency to the dumpling when it's cooked.
I've never ever made my own gyoza wrapper, so I'm very curious to see how this works and see how it comes out.
Oh, I hope it's going to be OK.
Ching adds a pinch of salt, some vegetable oil and boiling water and brings it together to form a dough. She covers the dough and leaves to rest while she makes a start on her prawn and chive filling.
I just do a rough chop, like a mince with my cleaver, like that.
Do you think there's a benefit from the hand cutting? Would you always hand cut, or at times would you use a food processor, like I am guilty of?
If I use a food processor, I like to do half and half. I think that's enough. And then what I'm going to do is I've got here some Chinese chives.
Chinese chives are also known as garlic chives and have a subtle garlic flavour.
Could you use a garlic clove and fresh chives, for example, if you couldn't find these as a substitute?
Yes, absolutely, yes. For extra crunch and bite, I'm going to finely chop some shredded bamboo shoots. And this is just tinned bamboo shoots. Now, I like to use vegetable bouillon.
That part I didn't expect, I must be honest.
Yeah, just for extra flavour. A bit of ground white pepper.
Is that normal to put the bouillon in, or is that your touch to give it a little bit more flavour, to lift the flavour?
To increase, the flavour a little bit. To increase, we say, umami.
Umami, exactly.
The intense savouriness of it.
Umami essentially is what I refer to as a Moorish factor.
Moorish.
Meaning it makes you want to go back for more.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Right, now about half a teaspoon of a good Shaoxing wine in there. You can use dry sherry.
Ching adds sesame oil, sugar and corn flour and gives it all a good mix.
That's one dumpling filling done. It's time for my second one. Now, this one's easy too. This one, pork mince, good amount of belly fat in there, some water chestnut. These are just tinned, you know, they come in whole round. Just very, very finely chopped.
Ching then adds dried shiitake mushrooms, which have been soaked and finely chopped, rice wine, oyster sauce, ground white pepper, salt, sugar, sesame oil and finally corn flour to bind the ingredients together.
That's my dumpling filling done, pork and mushroom and prawn and chive.
With both of Ching's fillings ready, it's over to Nick to prepare his first filling, the prawn and cod. Unlike Ching, he's using a food processor for ease. He starts by adding roughly chopped celery to the processor.
The good thing about coriander, as you know, is you can use the whole stalk and all the bits and pieces.
So are these very traditional Japanese recipes?
No. What I like to do is take something quite traditional and bring it into a more contemporary feel.
Wonderful.
What I'm doing with the prawns here is I'm slicing across the ligament of the prawn, so it's essentially stretching it slightly.
OK.
And I'm going to reserve the tail for part of the garnish to the prawn. And the cod...
Instead of cod, you can always use, maybe experiment with, like, pollock, right?
You could
more
use
sustainable.
Pretty much any white fish.
Did you know that gyozas were brought to Japan by the Chinese?
You've just educated me.
Nick briefly pulses the mixture to retain some texture. He finishes off by adding a splash of soy sauce and sake, which is a Japanese rice wine.
So where did you learn to make gyoza?
In Japan. For them, I was this crazy foreigner, Hina Gaijin, this crazy foreigner living in Japan. You can see here, we've got this texture through there.
Through there, yeah. So you're just mixing it together, combining it well.
And just to give it a little bit of piquant, a little bit of spice coming through, I'm just going to add a little bit of sashimi pepper. Sashimi pepper is a Japanese 7-spice. So there's chili powder in there, there's sesame seeds, there's hemp seeds, coriander seeds, and ayanori, which is a type of seaweed.
Ayanori, OK.
If you can't find sashimi, you could just use a pinch of chili powder. With his cod and prawn filling done, Nick moves on to his beef and kimchi. He begins by adding chopped carrots, oyster mushrooms and crushed garlic to a food processor before turning his attention to the kimchi, which is fermented cabbage.
Apparently, some masters say that if you sing to your kimchi, it becomes really beautiful.
Do you know my chefs are going to get even more worried because I'm going to go back now. When they're making their kimchi, I'm going to ask them to sing to it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't tell them I told you anything.
Yeah.
Nick prefers to make his own, but you can buy it ready-made from Asian food stores.
Then I'm going to add the beef. Just pop that in there. And I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper.
OK.
And give it another blitz. So what we've got here now is a yummy beef and kimchi. You can see the beef through there. You can see the carrot. The carrot's going to give it that texture. The mushrooms through there. And so now all we've got to do is go and make our dumplings, make our wrappers.
Delicious.